Throughout the world, the peoples of the United Nations are at work building for peace. Remember United Nations Day, October 24th.
I started rather unusually as a local staff member in the Philippines when I was very young. I became eventually, rising through the ranks, the first woman Under-Secretary General of the UN, and before that had opened up other posts that had previously been exclusively male domains. But I think I'm even prouder of the fact that I think I have been the only Under-Secretary General, male or female, who started life as a humble local officer in a developing country.
United Nations headquarters in Paris.
I was lucky to be one of the idealistic young people who went in the very earliest days when the world was complicated because we had just come out of a horrible war, the Second World War, and the whole of Europe and many other places were in ruins. But we also had great faith in an international future, and everybody who'd been involved in the combat was convinced that the only way forward was an organization that would preserve peace and security through international cooperation.
But the United Nations lives.
We were perhaps too heady and idealistic because we thought it would happen in our lifetime, and instead I have seen a world that, although we have avoided another world war of the proportions of the two earlier world wars, there have been many conflicts in the world, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for the international community to resolve them. After the fall of the Berlin Wall in the late 1980s, the situation changed very much for the better. We have had many more peacekeeping operations ever since that happened. But the outcome has not, I think we were a bit too euphoric. And now, of course, we realize that unless we address the causes of conflict, which are human misery, marginalization, lack of access to resources and power, then we're not really going to be able to tackle the root causes of war.
We want to end gender inequality.
The thing that I miss from when I was a young person is this feeling of international commitment and that we're all in this together. We live in an increasingly globalized world where national sovereignty is really increasingly meaningless in real terms.
Our day is not my day.
You can't work for the UN for 42 years or whatever it was without being optimistic. I think it's the best definition of an optimist that I know. And not only was that the time I was officially a member of the staff of the UN, but since then I continued to do work on a voluntary basis for them. So I have to be optimistic. If it doesn't work, then I'm afraid humanity is headed for disaster.